This has been the week of the diet for me, and if you can see, this is my self-done haircut. It's growing out, so it's getting better. I'm gonna let it just grow and grow, and then I'm gonna like trim the bottom. And so Jesus told me I'm not allowed to go to a beautician. Oh, this has been a crazy week as far as my diet. Um, I started off using Dr. Eric Berg's diet. We see my weight was 140, and I wanted to get down to I'm about 136 now, and certainly I'm only showing you my body not because I think I'm going to win a bikini contest or anything, but to show you how my health plan is working. I have a health page, and I'm about 136 pounds right now. It's been going like a little bit like a yo-yo. I started off like at 140. I get concerned when I get to 140 because when I take my blood pressure, then it's usually like 120 over 65 or 70, and that's kind of like getting borderline high for me. My Throughout my life, my normal blood pressure has been like 105 over 65 or 70. So I don't like it when when the blood pressure goes up. So I thought, okay, Gail, you're not in the medically dangerous range yet. This is my body's purging out toxins right now. I'll explain to you what's happening, but so I tried Dr. Eric Berg's diet, okay, to make a long story short. And he said, drink apple cider vinegar. He said, a teaspoon of that with lemon juice and water before every meal. It'll rev up your metabolism, help your liver to take out all the toxins, and you'll lose weight. So I tried that. Oh my God. I felt so terrible. I said, what's wrong with me? Why is it? I said, Dr. Eric Berg apparently is not working for me. He also said, go out and get nutritional yeast because it's loaded with B vitamins, and that helps your body somehow. I think if your body's not, if your body's deficient in B vitamins, it somehow has something to do with that metabolism, I think. Anyways, I took his test, and as you can see, my waist kind of like sags down. So, and it's kind of sags down. So I'm the adrenal type. But I took his test and I came out mostly adrenal, a little bit liver type. The liver types, it's like your stomach just comes out like this. And then the ovary type is where you gain weight even all over. He said when you're the liver type, usually your legs always look good and you tend to gain, it goes out like round like this. He said the adrenal type, your waistline kind of like sags. So I'm like adrenal. He said what makes, if you're the adrenal type and you go on a diet and you exercise, it won't make any difference. He said you will not lose the weight. He said your problem is that your body is producing excess cortisol. It's a hormone problem. You have a hormone imbalance in your body. I said that makes sense because I would go down there and do these real strenuous waist exercises. I'd go on the scale the next day and my weight would be up. Or I'd go out and walk and put in an extra 15 minutes, and walk harder and really try to burn those calories off. And boy, the scale would go up. I thought, that is weird. Like a year ago, I was hardly doing any exercises at all, just kind of taking it easy. But I just changed my diet and I was able to get down to 132 by eating more raw. And I was eating a lot of fruit too. But then all of a sudden, about 6 months later, I hadn't changed my diet too much that I knew of. And all of a sudden, my weight started creeping up, and I was doing nothing different. I thought, what is going on with my body? Is this like a side effect of taking Seroquel? I said, I don't get it. I started Seroquel in 2012, and when I first started Seroquel, I weighed 123 pounds, okay? Within a month, I went up to about 130. Within 2 months on Seroquel, I went up to about 135. I started taking matters into my own hand, and it started going up to about 138. And then the Lord ordered me to go out and walk, and I think that might have checked. I think that keeps me from going over 140. So I've been walking every day, but in spite of the walks, my weight in the past year went from 132 to about 139 to 140. So I thought, what am I doing wrong? It's like my body's changing on me. Okay, so like I told you, I went and bought nutritional yeast. oh, I'm going to tell you, this, you might say, was one of the worst or best things I ever did. Let me tell you why. Okay, as you know, I've had a systemic yeast infection. The Jesuits gave it to me. It's my worst health problem. I've probably had it for at least 20 years. And as a result of that, my body has developed an allergy to yeast toxin. They actually found it in the blood with Dr. Philip Ranheim in Seattle. They found the allergy antigen, I think they call it, or anyways, they found it in my blood. He said, you have gluten intolerance, you have sensitivity to yeast toxin, and he said, I hate to inform you, also have a yeast infection. So he treated me for those things. I no longer am in Seattle. When I was in Seattle, he was putting me in a desensitization program to get me to desensitize me to yeast toxin. It's not good to be allergic to yeast toxin because that means you're allergic to your own body. Anyways, so you say, what happened with the yeast? So I thought, if I get the B vitamins, I reasoned this way. I thought, well, I already figured out that the yeast, I still have yeast toxin in my body. The Seroquel has pretty much cured my infection. But I'll get minor pockets of infections throughout my body every now and then, like sometimes in my gums. And lately it's been in the nerves in this leg. And it's like the yeast moves around. This infection was systemic through my whole body. And it would have killed me. I really believe that if Jesus didn't put me on Seroquel. So I just said, let's try the yeast. If I have yeast toxin in my body, then that means that the yeast are taking all of the nutrients they need. So if I eat yeast, I reasoned, I'll be giving myself a super vitamin charge up. So I tried it. Within 1 minute, I swallowed the yeast. It was like my body felt like all my nerves felt like they were on fire. I thought, what is going on? But I thought maybe I'm not taking it. I thought maybe that's good. Maybe my body likes it. So I took more, and I was sprinkling it on my food and everything like Dr. Eric Berg said to do. That night, my stomach went out to here. I mean, I was so bloated. I thought, oh dear, we got to stop this. It was the combination of the apple cider vinegar and the yeast. I thought, girl, you're allergic to yeast. Okay, so I dropped the yeast. I said, maybe I just need to take less. I didn't figure I was allergic to it right away. So the next day, I took 1/4 of a teaspoon. Within 1 minute after I took it, I could feel my nerves going like they felt like they were on fire. That's how my body reacts to yeast. It's the allergic reaction. Finally, I said, you know what? You're allergic to yeast. I said, okay, we're going to stop this. But I still want to stick to Eric Berg's diet. So I decided to do the apple cider vinegar. I thought that's an easy thing to do before every meal. Oh my God, the apple cider vinegar was making me bloated too. And then he also recommended you get cheese. He said it's a good protein source. So I was putting cheese on top of my salad. I thought, why do I feel so terrible? I said, forget Eric Berg. Let's try another doctor, Joseph Mercola. So I looked him up and I took his test. Let me tell you how Eric Berg helped me. He was right. I am an adrenal type because my cortisol levels are elevated. You know why they're elevated? Because I have a yeast allergy and I've been feeding it. So my body's all stressed out because of my yeast allergy. I figured that out. It took me a while. It took me a couple days. Okay, so I went on Joseph Mercola's site, took his test. He said, you are the mixed type. The best diet for you is like a mixed, like I need to have protein and carbohydrate in every meal, equal amounts, and so about 1/4 of that needs to be fat, he says. And then after that, he said, have that first. Then after that, then you have your fruits and your carbs and dairy. He actually does not recommend dairy or soy. At first I kind of disagreed, because I already bought the cheese. I decided to use it. I still felt like crap. I thought, wait a minute, I think I get it. I'm allergic to yeast, and isn't there yeast in apple cider vinegar? So I went online and did research on yeast allergy. I spent all day. I thought, oh my goodness, I got to drop the apple cider vinegar. I got to drop the cheese. I got to drop the yogurt. I noticed when I take yogurt, I get leg cramps in my sleep. That's caused by my yeast allergy. So I spent all day and I finally figured out which foods have yeast in them. I had my B vitamins and my vitamin mineral supplement. I had to stop those. I'm reacting to the B vitamins. So I figured, so that's why I've gained weight. Here's how it works. I gained weight because I was taking my multivitamin every day with B vitamins in them with a yeast. Okay, so that had yeast. I was eating out my foods I was allergic to, yeast foods. Fortunately, I wasn't big on vinegar, but being Japanese background, I like to have like when you make sushi with vinegar. I would gain weight on the sushi. I thought, that's strange. Sushi's not a fattening food, but it was the vinegar. When you eat a food you're allergic to, what the body does is it will store those allergic. It would consider It would consider that allergenic food a toxin, and it would store that toxins in your fat cells. So when you eat a food you're allergic to, you tend to gain weight. I think it's a combination of water gain and fat gain. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Another reason you gain weight when you eat a food you're allergic to is because it causes increased cortisol in your body, which means that's a stress hormone. When that happens, you gain weight in your back, and I noticed I was gaining weight in my back, which I'm starting to lose right now since I'm eliminating yeast. And then your liver is going to be stressed because you're eating an allergenic food, so it's going to be swollen up, and it was. And then you're going to be the adrenal type with. It won't matter how hard you exercise, what diet you go on, you will never be able to lose it until you stop eating that substance you're allergic to. So I thought, oh, and Brent's been talking to me brain to brain. He's a doctor, and he said, yeah. So starting yesterday, I've been eliminating yeast from my diet, and in fact, I put myself on kind of back on the Candida diet, which is no sugars. I figured, you know what? You know why you've had such a craving for bananas and fruits, and why you've been like 9 bananas a day? This is because you're craving it because you have a yeast allergy, and you're feeding the yeast in your body because you're allergic to the yeast. So I'm going to cut the fruit. I've frozen all my bananas. I've probably got enough to last 2 months in the refrigerator. And I'm going to only have just enough to make a smoothie, maybe like a quarter of a banana or maybe 2 little pineapple chunks. And so my goal is I'm going to go back on the Candida diet, which is a good diet to be on with yeast allergy. And last time I did that, I lost 20 pounds. So my goal is not to lose weight right now. It's to keep my blood pressure was 105/65 at 139 pounds. So the problem was not so much the pounds, it was because I was eating allergenic food. So here I just started. Brent said, don't expect to lose the weight right away. He said the reason why is because your body is really stressed out. He said your body's really stressed out. Oh, and it's because you've been eating tons of fruit, which has been feeding the yeast in your body, causing the yeast toxin to multiply, and so I need to have fruit in moderation. And what I'm going to do is just almost totally eliminate fruit, just enough to make a smoothie, and I'm going to follow Joseph Mercola's mixed type diet plan, except no dairy, no soy. Most soy products do not agree with somebody who has gluten intolerance and who is yeast intolerant. So no soy, no dairy. I'm going back on the Candida diet, and I'm actually on an elimination diet right now, and and then I'm going to start reintroducing foods once my body calms down, and find out what I'm allergic to. I might have other allergies besides yeast, and then I'll figure out which diet I need to be on, which I'll call my maintenance diet. And I think that's going to greatly help me. Like I said, my pulse used to be 95 resting pulse. That's because when you eat something you're allergic to, it makes your pulse rate go up. And I'm very allergic to yeast. I'm kind of like allergic to my own body. So it's like all I'm doing is trying to lower the load that my body has to deal with. So this is what I've been doing this past week. Go to my health site and check out my links if you're trying to lose weight, or if you have a yeast problem, or if you're on Seroquel. Go to my health site and check out the progress I'm making and what I've learned. I'm sharing it with the world to help other people who are dealing with similar issues to what I'm dealing with.